This course is designed and is taught using a strategy called the assessment loop. The assessment loop is a strategy for designing courses that focuses on key learning goals of the course as a measurement of the learning taking place within the course. Let's take a closer look. The loop is a recursive process. It's used to design the course and then, each time a course is taught, to refine the course. The first step in the assessment loop is to identify outcomes for our course and then use these outcomes to develop unit-level learning outcomes. Well-written outcomes express what our students should be able to do after completing the unit, focusing on how students will apply the knowledge they've gained. Thus, well-written unit-level outcomes inherently point to how learning might be measured. For instance, consider the following two outcomes for an art history course. At the end of this unit, students will be able to identify key works from Picasso, Cézanne, and Dali. At the end of this unit, students will be able to compare and contrast the works of Picasso, Cézanne, and Dali. Do these two outcomes point to the same type of measurement? What do we do when we identify versus when we compare and contrast? Identifying suggests we're able to name a painting and its painter, and perhaps the date and medium. The result could simply be a list of identifying features. Comparing and contrasting, however, requires higher order thinking skills and would require a more developed response, such as an essay or presentation. Which brings us to the next step in the loop. After learning unit outcomes are identified and developed, the final summative assessment for the unit needs to be designed. Summative assessments are the large projects and tests students do to demonstrate mastery of the unit content and are a major component of grading. Once we know the goal we're heading toward, we can bring designing course content and activities that will help our students gain the knowledge and experience they need to be successful. Some critics argue this approach seems like teaching to the test. There is, however, a major and important distinction between this approach and test-driven approaches. Test-driven approaches begin with the test, which is usually derived by a source outside the institution. This process begins with learning goals, course and unit outcomes that are determined by the faculty teaching the course. And these goals drive both the design of the test and the design of the course content. Once our unit is designed, we can actually begin teaching. While we're teaching, we actually engage in an iteration of the assessment loop. We'll talk more about this micro loop in week 3. At the end of the unit, we administer the summative assessment. Once the unit or course is complete, we analyze data gleaned from the assessment to revise our course and/or unit. This may include tweaking the course or unit level outcomes, redesigning the summative assessment, or revising the content and activities within a unit. The data we collect and analyze through the formal assessment process gives us insight into the effectiveness of our course and our teaching. Each time we teach our course, we use the process outlined in the assessment loop to further refine and strengthen the course.